So one of the things I absolutely love about the Samsung Galaxy Note is that the design of this phone is extremely beautiful. You have your standard, what you would normally expect from a cell phone design with the Gorilla Glass 6 on the back and the Gorilla Glass 6 on the front with the aluminum frame going around. You have that new Aurora color that I had to get because it just looked really cooler than any of the other colors that were currently available. The unibody design of it, the sleekness of it, it just feels like, and I guess the best way for me to say it is it feels like a piece of tech that's in your hand. It's a beautiful piece of tech that's in your hand. I know we put cases on these phones from time to time, but there's nothing that really beats touching this phone without a case. And it's hard for me to explain if you don't have the device itself. There are certain phones that are out there that just really feel good in your hands and they feel like a premium level design and premium level product in your hand, and the Samsung Galaxy Note 10 definitely is one of those devices. It has a nice weight to it. It has a nice feel to it. It definitely is a slippery phone, especially if you don't have a case on it. So I wouldn't recommend not using a case, but I would recommend getting a case that really does complement the phone itself because it's such a beautiful design overall. I like the way the camera is positioned on the back of the phone. You have 3 buttons on the phone. That's it. Your volume rocker up and down and your power/Bixby button. I didn't have an issue with the 3-button design. I didn't miss the power button. I never accidentally pressed the Bixby button for anything other than what I was intending to press it for, so it never became an annoyance. Now, last week I talked about the Samsung Galaxy S10, and one of the things I really liked about it is it still had a headphone jack. This Note, unfortunately, does not have a headphone jack inside, and I know a lot of us may not miss the headphone jack. Me personally, I do, because I do still have wired headphones that I like to connect to my devices. I also have microphones because I shoot YouTube videos. When I'm shooting videos or I'm shooting audio, I can't plug my microphones in anymore. I kind of miss that a little bit, but the overall experience of using this phone is a fantastic one. The screen is probably one of the most beautiful screens I've ever seen on a mobile device. So it has a 6.8-inch dynamic AMOLED screen, and that just means it's a beautiful screen. The ratio on it is 1080 by 2280 pixels and 19:9 ratio with a 401 ppi density that supports HDR10. And all that to say that the media that you're consuming on this phone on a day-to-day basis is just beautiful. I mean, anything that you're watching on it, if you're watching YouTube videos in 1080p, it looks fantastic. If you're watching anything on Netflix, Hulu, any of those streaming media services that you're using on this phone is gonna look fantastic. If you're playing games on this phone, it's gonna look fantastic. The screen on this phone gets really bright. I think it's about 686 nits, so it does get extremely bright if you need it to, but it does have a gaming performance mode that you can kind of enable, and what that does is it optimizes the media on the screen based on what you're doing. So colors kind of pop a little bit more. You can see a little bit more darkness when you have the deep blacks and just the rich overall colors. You get really immersed in the screen of this phone itself. The only downfall of it really is that nowadays you have screens that are like 90 hertz refresh rate or 120 hertz refresh rate. This does not have that. This is a 60 hertz refresh rate screen itself. You really don't see the difference unless you're putting it up against a 90 hertz or a 120 hertz refresh. Scrolling through your applications, it feels fluid, it feels fast. It just doesn't have that high refresh rate that you would expect from a flagship phone in 2020. Like I said, with the Samsung Galaxy S10, I always kind of have a problem with the hole punch cameras. The S10 had that 2-camera display that was extremely distracting for me when I was watching any kind of media. This one just has the single hole punch camera in the middle of the screen. It's a little distracting when you expand the screen out fully. When you're watching something on the screen, it doesn't disappear, it stays there, you're able to see it, but it's a lot easier to avoid because it's so small versus the 2-camera on the S10 Plus. So I didn't really have too much of a problem with the front-facing camera. They have to put it somewhere, I guess. It's better than a notch for me, but it's still a little bit of a distraction when you're watching anything in full screen display. I hate bezels, so I'm not one that likes the bars on the side. I like to expand and zoom in on all my media, and I do sometimes my eye kind of strays over to the corner and you're able to see that hole punch camera. And this phone also has the ultrasonic fingerprint scanner underneath the glass itself. I find it to be serviceable. It works perfectly well in certain conditions. If the phone is pristine, if the screen itself is completely clean, no dust, no water, fingerprint scanner works flawlessly and it's pretty fast. Not as fast as the older fingerprint scanners, but it's quick enough to get you into your phone and to your information without any kind of hiccups or errors. first. The same problems I have with the S10 Plus are the same issues I have with this particular fingerprint scanner, is that it's in a small area of the screen itself, so you can miss touch from time to time, especially if you're not looking at the screen or familiar with where to touch on the screen. I guess the more you use it, the more you kind of train yourself on where you need to touch in order to gain access. Also, if your screen is wet with any kind of moisture from rain or snow, I found that it's a little bit more difficult if your hands are wet or if your screen is wet for you to gain access. So now on the back of the phone, you have 3 camera display. You have an ultra wide camera, a telephoto, and a wide angle camera itself, with a depth sensor to kind of help add that kind of bokeh effect that you have when you're taking portrait pictures. And the pictures you're taking on the Note 10, they look really good. They're very serviceable pictures. Some of the pictures you'll take will look a little bit more vivid, a little bit more blown out, and a little bit less realistic color wise. Samsung seems to add a little bit more of a vivid type blown out color when you're taking pictures of certain things that the color really pops. Compared to some of the other cameras that are on the market, this camera tends to add a little bit more. The night mode for it worked fairly well for me. I was able to take some pictures in the dark and kind of see the detail. The camera handled that lighting very well, so I was able to take really great pictures during the day, really great pictures at night. And one of the great things about the phone itself is that you're able to do a lot of photo and video editing directly via the Samsung software that's in the phone. This phone was kind of designed for creators, and they had it with creators in mind, so they did give you the ability to really just dive in deep and edit the media and information that you're taking from the phone. So if you're taking a picture, if you're taking a video, you actually have a lot of cool editing tools directly baked into the phone that you can kind of go in and adjust the way the picture looks, adjust the way the video looks, adjust the quality of the picture itself, so you can get an end result that's something more of what you're looking for. And performance wise, you're dealing with the Qualcomm Snapdragon 855 processor with about 256 gigs of storage and 8 gigs of RAM directly baked in. And performance for me with this phone has really never been an issue ever since the first time I got it 8 months later. Still, after all the updates that I've received, still no problem. I'm able to do everything I want to do on the phone without any hiccups, no restarts, no slowdowns, anything of that nature. So performance is top notch. You're able to multitask, you're able to edit video, edit pictures, watch and consume your media, play games. You're good to go. And I'm a heavy user on this phone. I game on it a ton and it performs fantastically. Now with that in mind, you are dealing with a 4300 milliamp hour battery that gives me personally about 10 hours worth of full device use, and I'm talking like from 100 to maybe 5 to 10%. And that's again because I'm such a heavy user. The battery life is still serviceable, and if you're not a heavy user, then you're probably going to get a longer battery life. One of the really cool things about the phone is that it comes with a 25-watt charger, and that basically is going to get you to 33% of your battery life in 15 minutes and 65% of your battery life in 30 minutes. Even if you are depleting the battery, you can actually charge up fairly quickly with the charger that's inside the box itself. You don't have to buy anything extra to get that quick charging effect on your phone. And always have that wild card, which is the S Pen, and the S Pen now has a lot of different cool features that Samsung's kind of added to make it a little bit more relevant other than just taking notes on the phone itself. It now has like new air gestures that you can use to control your camera, to move between menus, and I use the screen capture option so much. I would miss it if I went to any other phone. Just having the ability to take out my S Pen, hitting that screen capture option, taking a picture of the screen, and then just editing it right there on the fly, putting any kind of notes that I need to put into it, cropping it any way that I kind of want, really does come in handy. And the active translation mode also does come in handy for me as well, when you're able to actually take the S Pen out, hover your S Pen over a word or phrase that's on screen, and it actively just translated it into any kind of language that you want. That comes in handy a lot as well. There's a lot of different cool functions with the S Pen, and the S Pen is one of the main reasons you would get a Samsung Galaxy Note. So I like the fact that Samsung added a bunch of different little cool things that the S Pen can do other than the precision writing that, you know, you kind of use it for the most part. You do have some non-gimmicky kind of useful cool things that the S Pen adds to the Note 10. So let's do a quick recap. The Samsung Galaxy Note 10 has a 6.8-inch AMOLED screen that is probably one of the best screens I've ever seen on a cell phone. Has a huge 4300 milliamp hour battery with some quick charging in case you need it. It's still one of the fastest Android phones on the market despite it being about 8 months old. The S Pen has some new cool features that aren't gimmicky that you can actually take advantage of. The camera performs well in low light and well in regular light, but it's not top of the market. But do you really need top of the market? For the most part, if you're just sharing on social media, you do have those editing features baked into the phone that you can use to kind of get the picture the way you want. No headphone jack, but you do have an expandable micro SD slot, and you also have all the goodness of the new Samsung UI, the Samsung One UI that is pretty cool. So anyway guys, let me know what you guys think about the Samsung Galaxy Note 10. Go ahead and share your thoughts and comments in the comment section down below the video. If you have the phone and you have any kind of technical support questions, go ahead and share them in the comment section down below as well. And while you're down there, why not hit that subscribe button and that bell for notification so you don't miss when we release some cool, helpful content like this one. And also drop us a like because it definitely helps out the channel a lot. I'm going to share a Samsung Galaxy Note 20 video here with some information about the new phone coming out in case you want to check that out. And this is something YouTube believes you enjoy watching. Again, guys, thank you so much for checking out the video. And as always, stay safe and peace out.